Okay, everybody, I think we're ready to go to our last but most exciting part of the day. We're going to go and learn a little bit about um, our K9's and what they do for AIS. So we'll kick it over to ML Keisig and wrap things up today.
Sure. Just make sure everyone can see from where you're sitting. And we definitely saved the best for last. So this is Cindy Sawchuk from Alberta Environment and Protected Areas to speak to us about the use of canines in aquatic invasive species prevention. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm very excited. Oh, thank you, people in the back. So I'm very excited to share with you today about a pretty innovative program that we have for invasive species prevention in Alberta, and really demonstrate to you the incredible skills that dogs have in both detection and discrimination of odor. So I understand there's about 30 or 40 people online. I do have K9 Hilo here in the room with me. So once I'm done my presentation today, we're going to bring them out and we'll do a little live demonstration. But since you won't be able to see this calling in online, I do have a couple videos that I'll show you today that'll kind of give you a better idea of how we've integrated canines into our watercraft inspections program. So I'm going to get into a little bit about the history and why we've incorporated dogs and how. So we have actually lived with these carnivores for 30,000 years, yet it's really only since the 90s that we've started to tap into canines for conservation detection work. They have evolved to bring us information, and they are the only species that tell us what they know. The dog's nose is actually the best chemical sensor that the world knows. So where we as humans perceive the landscape visually, our dogs perceive a very detailed scentscape. Canines actually also dedicate a large part of their brains towards olfaction. And I like to use the example of, if you walk into a house and someone's baking a cake, you can smell, okay, right away, someone's baking a cake. Whereas if you're walking your dog 2 blocks away, your dog is using that olfaction and that dedicated part of their brain, and they're already thinking about flour, sugar, eggs, cocoa, all of those different ingredients that go into a cake. So I'd like to talk about our partners, Working Dogs for Conservation. They're the ones who have helped establish our program back in 2015. They're a nonprofit based in Montana, founded by 4 biologists, and they take detection dogs and they go all over the world to train them on different types of species and targets that hold high conservation value. So here is the co-founder Amy and her dog Wicket in China looking for Chinese moon bear scat, which is a species at risk. Here they are in Cameroon looking for cross river gorilla dung, which is a critically endangered species, to collect that evidence. So I often get a lot of people ask me, I have a great dog who has a great nose. They would totally make a good detection dog. Well, in reality, less than 1 in 1,000 dogs has what it takes to make conservation detection dog. What it really comes down to is that toy drive. So that obsession with balls. And so conservation detection dogs often come from shelters because they really don't make good family pets. They have like this high energy, this high drive. They're obsessive. I mean, Hilo was really quite rude when he first came to live with me. So we had to channel that energy towards something. They're really obsessive. And I'd like to use the example too. If you were to walk into a shelter and there's 1,000 dogs, you're holding a ball, bouncing it in the air, all of those dogs would just be staring at the human, adopt me. But then there would be that one dog who is only obsessed with the toy as they walk in. So that's the kind of energy that we tap into for our conservation detection dogs. So a little bit about the history of our program. Back in 2014 in Alberta, we had watercraft inspection stations, but they were not yet mandatory. And so I thought, well, now would be a good time. Let's maybe pilot what it would be like to have detection dogs as part of our inspections program. So I was starting to bring this up the chain of command, and I remember I had one very senior fish and wildlife officer say, well, detection dogs are good, but they're really only good for that public education, that PR. They're not really good for anything else. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to prove him wrong, maybe not, but we ended up piloting with Working Dogs for Conservation, a program where we had their dogs trained on invasive mussels, and we brought them to Alberta for 10 days of watercraft inspections. Now, what's really neat about this pilot too is our partners with the Alberta irrigation districts fully funded it, and they wanted to see as well, what would it look like to incorporate dogs at these inspection stations? So while we had that pilot, I thought, you know what? He could be right, this officer. Maybe they are really only good at public education, PR, and that type of thing. But I wanted to do a comparison trial. So I set up a blind trial with the trained dogs and the trained watercraft inspectors. We had a series of boats, some blank, some planted with mussels. And I wanted to compare the accuracy and the efficiency of inspecting watercraft. Some of the boats only had one mussel on them. And I think the result probably won't surprise any of you. The dogs outperformed the humans in both accuracy and efficiency. So in that particular trial, the dogs were 100% accurate in detecting fouled watercraft, and the humans came in at about 75%. As well, the dogs were much faster at inspecting boats. The humans took about 5 minutes per boat. The dogs took about 2.5 minutes, and that included the opportunity to play with their toys if they did find a mussel. So all of that was very positive. We had the trial, we had a big media event during that pilot, and that is when the Alberta Irrigation Districts Association said, we would like to fund the inception of Alberta's own conservation detection dog program for this purpose. So many of you work with government. It is not very common that partners reach out and say, how much money do you need? So this was a pretty fantastic way to work together toward, like we talked about earlier, collaboration for invasive species prevention. And so that was the inception in 2015 of our own conservation K9 unit in Alberta. And to be honest, that Fish and Wildlife officer wasn't wrong. We did a media evaluation study, and we had $900,000 worth of free media attention in 2016 just because of the conservation canines that we brought forward. So in 2015, we finally went mandatory for our watercraft inspections. The free media from television and print at almost $1 million is what it would have cost the Alberta government, but they all came out to film the dogs at work. So it was pretty incredible. And I'm gonna show you one example. Like we had the New York Times, we had National Geographic come out, but we had the Oxford Scientific came to Alberta and they filmed our conservation canine team working in an episode called Dogs with Extraordinary Jobs. And this aired internationally, again, in support of that clean, drain, dry message. So I'm gonna show you that video. It should start right away. Or not. Do you mind? So this is just so it's called Dogs with Extraordinary Jobs. This was episode 5. As I said, they came to Alberta, they followed us training in Manitoba, and I'll just show you the
Dogs
first
are
10
born
minutes.
with an incredible sense of smell. They put this superpower to work. Yes, good girl. As scent detectives,
Looking to pick up the scent.
policing the environment
Check it.
and saving endangered species.
Duh.
They're experts
Very good.
at sniffing out trouble.
Yeah.
Dogs are smart, loyal, and equipped to do things we simply can't. Their powerful sense of smell, their strength and stamina, and their unlimited desire to play has enabled us to harness their natural abilities, resulting in an impressive array of dogs with extraordinary jobs. Alberta Province, Western Canada. A vast and beautiful landscape dominated by spectacular mountains, lakes, and rivers. But Canada's aquatic habitats are under threat from an invasion. A non-native species is colonizing North America's lakes, wreaking ecological havoc. Zebra mussels. They don't belong here, and since they arrived in the 1980s,
Zebra
they've been
mussels.
spreading like wildfire. Invasive mussels are crowding out the native species, causing some indigenous mussel populations to decline up to 90% over 10 years. Mussels are filter feeders, sifting algae from the water. That's normally a good thing. But a vast army of hungry zebra mussels can filter an entire lake every few days, stripping it of nutrients and starving its fish, potentially devastating an entire ecosystem.
This is Keisig.
On the frontier to stop their advance into Alberta, Canada, is this team of specialist sniffer dogs. Cindy Sawchuk coordinates the Aquatic Invasive Species Program.
All three dogs have very different
Yeah, did
personalities.
we-
Seuss is a German Shepherd, and if he could speak, I feel like Seuss would say, "You guys hired me to do a job. Get out of my way. I got this. I'm going to give this 110% every time." Diesel's the smallest, but he's our leader. He just loves to show off with acrobatics. So this guy is nicknamed the Professor because he's super methodical and really detailed with the way he searches. It's like he has to think about everything before he makes a really good decision.
His real name's Hilo. He's a 4-year-old Labrador mix with a nose for unwanted visitors. Together, the invasive species team protects Alberta's waters by sniffing out the zebra mussels. Today, the team will be searching for zebra mussels at a boat inspection station on a busy interstate highway.
Are they going to stay up? There we go.
The most common way for mussels to enter a new area is as hitchhikers, clinging to the hulls of boats being moved from one lake to another.
We have watercraft inspection stations at every major road coming into Alberta. We are the front line for prevention.
The mussels are typically just half an inch long, which makes them hard to see.
So these are zebra mussels. You can see these little threads are what the mussels use to attach. They can be really tiny. We've seen them the size of a grain of rice. We don't tend to see giant mussels all over the boat that are really obvious. We tend to see the really small ones. And so that's why it's really great to have K9's as part of the inspections team.
Before he gets to work, Hilo must put on special boots to prevent him from scratching the expensive boats.
So we're going to bring you around the front, Hilo.
Thousands of pleasure boats hop between Canada's 2 million lakes every day, by truck and trailer.
So this is Hilo. He's going to inspect your boat.
Owners are supposed to wash and dry their boats to decontaminate them before moving them,
Good checking, mister.
but not everybody does.
Check up here.
Right now, Hilo is in work mode. While we perceive the landscape visually, our dogs perceive them with their noses. So he's looking to pick up the scent of the zebra mussel that could be attached. If he finds it, he'll tell me he's found it by sitting. And we call that a passive alert. Good boy, come on over here.
Hilo can smell the difference between a native mussel and an invasive one.
Oh, good job, mister. Very good searching. We're almost finished this boat, Mr. Professor.
Any boat that's been in infested water could harbor a mussel.
Very good. Checking your nose in there. Very good. Check right here. Check.
The dogs work quickly around the boats, but so far there's no sign of any illicit mollusks. Zebra mussels are freshwater mussels native to Eastern Europe. They first arrived in North America in the late 1980s as unwitting stowaways in commercial ships traveling through the Great Lakes. Since then, the mussels have spread rapidly. They're now in 750 lakes across North America. One of the most infested in Canada is Lake Winnipeg. In just 5 years, concentrations of more than 900 individuals per square foot have been found living in the water. In some places, its beaches are carpeted a foot deep with zebra mussel shells. Aquatic ecologist Dr. Eva Pipp was the first person to spot these mollusks in the lake's tributaries and the first to raise the alarm in 2011.
It's heartbreaking. There are billions and billions and billions of zebra mussels now in Lake Winnipeg. It is uncontrollable. Almost every lake that has been invaded, it has been impossible to eradicate them.
Zebra mussels have no natural predators in North America, and scientists haven't been able to eradicate them. The mussels are also prolific breeders.
A female mussel will start reproducing normally in her second year, and she'll produce up to 1 million eggs in a single season. Because they reproduce so rapidly, they outcompete the native freshwater mussels in waterways and lakes. They literally choke out the organisms that would normally inhabit the bottom.
The mussels aren't just creating an ecological disaster. They're also causing millions of dollars of damage. They cling to any hard surface under the water, clogging pipes and vital infrastructure. Over time, this causes substantial damage and significant costs to the economy.
So you can see all these are zebra mussels attached to each other. In Ontario, we know that they spend almost $93 million annually. And that's not because they're trying to eradicate them. That's the cost they spend just in maintaining their structures that have been impacted by these mussels. In Alberta, we have the largest irrigation district in Canada. We have 8,000 kilometers of pipes and canals. Many of these pipes are buried to provide water for irrigation, for the farmers, for industry, for drinking water, for recreation purposes. Should these mussels become attached in these pipes and canals, it would be completely devastating for Alberta.
Shoreline checks are the quickest way to find out if a lake or waterway has been invaded. That's why today, Hilo and the team have traveled beyond Alberta's border to Lake Winnipeg to practice finding the culprits. This section of beach only has a sprinkling of zebra mussels. A training search will put the dog's scent detection skills to the test.
We're going to act like this is a suspect lake. So you're preparing for the real thing, where you're going to head out with your dogs and start.
Deborah Willett is from Working Dogs for Conservation, the organization that trained this canine trio to distinguish the scent of a zebra mussel from any native species through positive reinforcement training.
This way. We work in a very detailed way. They're really thoroughly searching with their nose. Their nose is close to the ground. They're taking a lot of sniffs as they cover a patch of area. The dogs are really good at what they do compared to humans. They have an extremely powerful sense of smell.
Finding a tiny mussel camouflaged on a vast pebble beach is mission impossible for a human,
Boy,
but not for a dog nicknamed the Professor.
good searching. When they're searching shorelines, they're not picking up these mussels from a great distance. Their nose has to be virtually right on them. Whoops.
Hilo's got something.
Oh, I see it. Good boy. Good boy. Well done. You got to see this one. It's hidden right in the rocks. Good boy. So this is what he alerted on. They're attached to this little rock. They don't even actually have any tissue or muscle matter inside it. He's just detecting the shell. So that's pretty amazing.
Like all working dogs, Hilo loves a reward.
Their paycheck is this special ball that they only get to play with when they find the mussels. So it's a really big party for them. It's a big party for all of us. What a fine boy. My good dog.
Back in Alberta, Cindy is always looking for fun ways to motivate the energetic team and keep their skills sharp for such important work.
You ready? Let's go find it.
She's hidden a zebra mussel in one of these boxes. If the professor finds it, he'll get a pop-up reward.
What a fun boy.
It's the perfect game for Diesel to show why his nickname is the Acrobat. At the boat inspection station, the dogs are back on duty. While they search for mussels, Hilo and the team also help to get the message out to boaters.
The dogs make great ambassadors and are really good tools for the public education aspect of our program because they're big, they're furry. People feel a connection when they see the dogs working at the inspection station. Good work. Because that's really the only way we'll be successful is if every member of the boating public does their part. And that's the only way we can truly eliminate the threat.
In 2018,
Okay, so Diesel actually broke that very expensive camera lens on one of those last shots there, so it was a really good day for everyone. So I do want to say that our dogs do not replace humans, and they never will at our watercraft inspection stations. What's happening is the human is looking with their eyes and crawling in the boat. We learned from DFO's presentation today, there's a lot of standing water left in bilges and live wells. So our dogs are not going in the boats to see that. And then our dogs are sniffing at those really difficult places to see. So in the end, we're getting just a more fulsome picture of what could be transported on that boat by using the eyes and the nose. So these dogs live with us 24/7. They're fully integrated into our families, our lives, our recreation, our days off. He comes with me to the office every day because it's really important that we have that trusting relationship. So if I'm asking him to do something, such as Hannah is doing with Seuss here, lifting him up to practice sniffing a structure for mussels, or canoeing him across. This is in Riding Mountain National Park when we were going to do a little search across there, that those dogs really trust us. And conversely, if the dog is trying to tell us something, we really know what they're trying to say. So and they are endlessly trainable for these canines. It really is just a game. As long as they get their toy reward at the end, it doesn't matter what we're teaching them to smell. So it's almost like a bait and switch, right? Like, as long as I get to play with you and this ball, I'm happy to tell you this information. So we did, through an innovation grant, we were able to train the dogs on detecting a terrestrial invasive weed. At that time, it was the only known location of that weed in Canada. And it only took 10 days because the dogs knew the game. Tell me about this, sit, reward. But it was really different because now you're in this field with hundreds and hundreds of different plants blowing in the face. You've got gophers and deer. So it was very different kind of learning with wind factored in compared to like a really short, intensive search for mussels on a boat. But they had no problem adapting to that. In the end, we didn't follow through with that project after 2 years because it turned out that weed was far too widespread in the park. But again, great public education tool. We had lots of media come out and talk to the public about this. And finally, the last target I'll touch on, wild boar at large in Alberta. These are certainly established throughout portions of Alberta. Here's a photo I took. They root, they wallow, they're very destructive. So we've trained the dogs to detect their scat, and part of that was the agriculture program was doing a trapping and monitoring program, so we could go out afterwards and see, did it work? Are there still boar out there through evidence of scat? Or if farmers are reporting some crop damage, we could go out and have a look and see if we're finding any scat. Hilo will be trained on carcass of wild boar this spring, and that is in response to the African swine fever. Just in case we ever had an outbreak in our pork population, so our domestic pork industry in Alberta is worth billions of dollars. It could be very devastating. So to understand where the wild populations are would be very difficult. So we're going to have the dogs trained to be able to go as part of that response. Okay, this should be one last final quick video just to show you about how dogs can have multiple targets throughout their careers.
We're in northwestern Alberta, and behind me is an oak crop. Now, this oak crop has been fairly heavily depredated by wild boar. Wild boar, when they're at large, are provincial pests under the Agricultural Pests Act. They were introduced back in the 80s and early 90s. Farmers were encouraged actually to diversify their livestock. So they brought in wild boar, and over the years, some did escape, and they've established themselves fairly. They do a lot of rooting in the process of looking for food. Pigs don't have functioning sweat glands, so they have to wallow in mud or water in order to keep cool. Whenever they wallow, they cause damage to riparian areas, they spread weeds, they disrupt fish habitat, they contaminate water sources, all kinds of environmental issues. They spread disease. There's potential of disease spread to other animals or humans. There's the potential for them to spread African swine fever. Bounties are ineffective in reducing the population. In essence, all that does is move the problem around. We've deployed different means of surveillance, trail cameras, cellular cameras. We've got a drone program in the works now. With surveillance, we partnered up with Environment and Parks with their K9 unit. We found that that's a very effective way for doing surveillance.
Today, we're here with the 3 conservation canine dogs, and we're responding to some reports of damage to crops and potential wild boar in this area. So dogs are really great at sniffing things out. They just naturally do that their whole lives. And certain dogs, you can train them to tell you about things when they find them. So they're able to cover large areas, and they'll tell us if they find any scat. If there's reports of potential wild boar or we find damage and we want to confirm that it is wild boar, then we can bring the dogs in to find the scat, which would be very difficult for humans to do. Our teams have already deployed on several conservation targets in Alberta. So their original target was invasive mussels, and they've worked on an invasive plant. And now we're working on wild boar scat, which is another invasive species in the province. And for them, even though they're kind of building up all these targets and we're out here working hard, it's just a giant game. So they're out here to find whatever is going to get them their paycheck, which is their favorite toy. And if that's a mussel or a boar scat, it doesn't matter to them. They're just here to have a good time. The bond between the handler and the dog is really important because we're always working together and we need to learn to communicate with each other so that we can work very effectively. And then when they find something, we're able to know that. Mainly it's developed through play and just spending time with them. And so that bond gets developed just through spending time, working together, playing together, just being around each other. It's really important because when they're out working in the field, sometimes it can be confusing for them to try to piece together what they're smelling and then to try to communicate that to us. And so it's important that we are on the same wavelength with them.
And apparently, according to Hilo, wild boar scat is also delicious. Okay, so just to finish up, I'll tell you a little bit about Hilo. So as I said, most dogs are found in shelters for this type of work because they really don't make good family pets. Seuss and Diesel were found in shelters, but Hilo is actually a career change dog. So he was bred to be a guide dog in San Rafael, California. And very early on in that puppy program, they were like, he will never make a guide dog. So he spent about the first year of his life trying to do some training in the guide dog's kennel when we interviewed him, and he turned out to really want to move to Canada, get a job with us. We had great health care here, pretty good pension plans. So he's been with me ever since in 2015 when he was a year old. So yeah, I think that's about it. If anyone has any questions, that's kind of the art and the science of conservation detection work. It's a little bit of both. Okay, do you just want to see a demo? Okay. So I'll bring Hilo out. If anyone has allergies or perhaps phobias, you're welcome to leave the room. He is going to circle through the room. It's a little bit funky because there's like weird wind currents in a room like this. It's not like we're outside looking for mussels, but if he finds the odor, he will sit. And that's how he'll tell me about it. And if he does find mussels, we want a big party. So please tell him how good he did. Lots of applause. He's a bit of a princess that way. He's super into it. So I'll bring him out now. He has been so patient today. Can you guys believe he sat there all day compared to our last meeting? He's a highly trained detection dog. He's still a Labrador. Oh, that's trash. I need to go to work. Yes, fine. And purses and laptop bags are fair game. What are you? So you might want to move them up if you don't want a dog in there. Come back to Prince Albert National Park.
Please do not find one at Prince Albert National Park. Oh, good boy. Well, I wasn't kidding when I said best for last. So go ahead, ask. We'll just get you a microphone so the people online can.
I was just going to ask, how long will your dog be able to continue?
Forever. So that's a really good question. We don't have a set standard of, you want to tug with him, please? No, tug. We don't have a set standard where it's like, oh, your dog must retire at 9. It's very different than police dog type work. So Diesel, when he was around 9.5 years old, he sort of quiet quit and just stopped wanting to come to work. So we retired him. He'll be 12 in May. He is showing no indication of retiring. He actually has another target. I think he was 10 years old and we trained him to detect bats for mortality surveys at wind farms. And also, he just got introduced to golden mussel scent. So I don't have the golden mussels, but there's something called get scent tubes. And they're these like non-toxic polymer tubes that are known for absorbing odor. And they're used for, especially in police dogs and bomb dogs, right? You don't want to have all of the drugs and bombs all the time. So he is trained on the odor of golden mussels already. You're very good. Do you want a job as a handler? So he will decide, he'll tell me when he's ready, or if not, we'll make a decision. But yeah, he's still got some work left in him. It's the most fun thing.
Cindy, can you talk about the costs and benefits of keeping a dog? And obviously, keeping a dog, there's some cost that's associated with it, time, effort, handlers. But what are the net benefits overall? Is there a net benefit?
Well, I think from a invasive species program, I spoke about that $900,000 worth of free media attention we got towards clean, drain, dry. I mean, that's a massive benefit, right? People are coming, they're asking about the dogs. We hand out these little cards with the dog's photo that says, you've been sniffed. Okay, do we need to sub in someone else? You getting tired, Steve? There's all kinds of benefits. And like I said in that one study, the dogs were incredibly accurate and efficient at detecting those invasive mussels on boats, right? And they're just a really low impact way to collect data as well. So yeah, the costs, roughly $10,000 a year for vets, kenneling, replacing people's lunch that he steals. Does that answer your question?
Does anybody want to?
You can let him win if you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway. See, I wasn't kidding when I said we had the best for last. Thank you very much, Hilo. That was very nice of you to. Well, Cindy, I mean, you're getting a wage. Hilo is just doing it more of a volunteer basis and a community service. So thank you very much for coming. But seriously, thanks for all of the attendees and all the presenters. And I just really wanted to just say a few words. You know, what I learned today is we truly are in this all together. Like there's nothing that Saskatchewan can do alone. There's nothing Manitoba can do alone. There's nothing Montana can do alone. It's all together, and working together, we can do the best we can to keep invasive aquatic species out of our water bodies for as long as possible, and learn more about how to deal with them as they, if it ever should happen. So I really want to thank Matt Tyree. He did a lot of work, and the team at the environment for putting this all together, and really appreciate all of that. I want to thank the team at Trade and Export Saskatchewan and Matt and Brendan from Penmore. You know, this was a team effort, and a lot of work went into organizing this, and really, really appreciate everything that you guys did here today. So this summer in Edmonton, we're having our Penmore Annual Summit. There's lots of cards out. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Brendan or anyone on the Penwar team. And we do lots of really good work on a myriad of issues, and aquatic invasive species is just one of them. So hopefully, if you can find time and attend our summit, would be greatly appreciated. And anybody that traveled to come here, you know, really thank you for making the trip. And there's lots to see and do in Saskatoon. There's the Remy Modern Art Gallery. There's the Meewasin Valley Authority. There's a myriad of things. So take some time, enjoy what Saskatoon has to offer. Safe travels home. Thank you all so much for coming. Have a great day.